Hello everyone, Manuel here, and in this video I'd like to go over yield farming. And to understand yield farming, I would need to cover many topics related to decentralized finance. Um, and some of those topics might include smart contracts, air swaps, decentralized exchanges, and decentralized lending. All these concepts come together for people to profit with yield farming. And I'll go over some strategies on how to do that as well. But before I get started, I'd like to thank Order Mind Fund and Order Mind Fund's Project Orange for sponsoring this video. If you haven't seen my previous videos, let me introduce myself and a little bit of my background. Currently, I would describe myself as a full stack crypto developer and advisor. I started my education studying computer science, and after university, I worked in the finance industry for many years. After that, I decided to dedicate myself fully to working in the cryptocurrency industry, and I currently help develop crypto projects and advise companies in their efforts to get on the blockchain and to develop products for the blockchain. In order for me to explain yield farming and decentralized finance, I would first need to explain some of its key components. And the most important component is smart contracts. And when I say smart contracts, there are many platforms, but the original was Ethereum. And it's also the most widely used. And in terms of yield farming and decentralized finance, that is definitely the case. The most easiest way to explain smart contracts is the phrase that has been tied to Ethereum is programmable money. In essentially, smart contracts are is code that lives on the blockchain. And in order for me to explain this best, I could probably go over the most widely used smart contracts and one you're most likely familiar with. Most Ethereum ERC20 tokens are smart contract based. Actually, all of them are. Um, every ERC20 contract has many functions that if you have access to a Ethereum wallet or node, you can send commands to functions that live on that contract. Um, One example of using a smart contract that almost everyone has probably had experience with is, let's say, using an ERC20 token, like USDT. When you actually send a transaction, um, there is no separate USDT blockchain. You're using the Ethereum blockchain and the USDT contract. You're sending a command to the USDT smart contract to transfer any amount of USDT tokens from your address to another address. Some other ways that people use smart contracts can vary widely, and from games like CryptoKitties or Gods Unchained or many others to what we will talk about later in this video, which is decentralized finance. Um, you can you know trade without the need for centralized exchanges, and you can also lend or borrow without the need for centralized borrowers or lenders, all with smart contracts. So it opens up a lot of opportunities for people to kind of manage their funds and to work without the need of third parties. The next core component I'd like to talk about is the atomic swap. The first generation of cryptocurrencies allowed for transactions to be decentralized. Bitcoin can be sent to other Bitcoin addresses without any intermediary or third party. But what if you wanted to trade that Bitcoin for, say, like Litecoin or XRP? The only way to do this was to use centralized servers. Um, and that proved to be a problem with several high profile cases like Mt. Gox early on. So, as the saying goes, not your keys, not your coin. With the second generation Ethereum and invention of smart contracts, now became the potential for you to have transactions and exchanges that weren't centralized. And the key component to this is the atomic swap. An atomic swap is essentially trading one cryptocurrency for another without the need for an intermediary. And in the world of Ethereum and ERC20 tokens, it's possible to do this purely with simple smart contracts. You can make it more complex and develop entire exchanges with smart contracts, and we'll discuss that in the next section. Before I go over what a decentralized exchange is, I would like to go over what a centralized exchange is to highlight the differences. A centralized exchange can be compared to, let's say, the stock market. Basically, the technology is exactly the same. You basically have a centralized authority that creates all the rules for all the participants within that market. There's a lot of benefits to this, but there also is some downsides. Some of the downsides include requiring you to fill out a KYC before trading, and also when it comes to crypto, you have to give up custody of your crypto in order to trade. This can be a big problem if the centralized exchange you're using isn't credible. There's many cases of exchanges going down and people losing their funds. Again, not your uh, keys, not your coins. Um, the benefit of having centralized exchanges is that liquidity is provided by sometimes the exchange itself. So there's always opportunity to trade at very liquid prices. There's no gaps in the bid and offer rates, where it could be a problem if you're trading in low markets. Um, but a lot of these issues, even though I prefer decentralized exchanges, some of these issues have yet to be resolved. But um, yield farming is one of the aspects that helps to fill these gaps in the decentralized exchange technology. The easiest way I usually describe how decentralized exchanges work is that it's basically interconnected smart contracts that allow you to trade cryptocurrency. And the way it differs from centralized exchanges is that everything is transparent. You don't need any central authority, and all the rules are again transparent. So if you want to trade, one coin for another, um, it's instant, and you don't need to give up custody of your crypto, which is a huge benefit. Um, one of the problems with decentralized exchanges is that sometimes the fees can be higher than centralized exchanges. That's only because you're at the will of the market at the time of your transaction. Um, Recently, Ethereum transaction fees have been pretty high. So whenever you institute a trade, you are actually also instituting a Ethereum smart contract transaction. So fees can vary widely between one time of the day and the next. So if there's no centralized authority or centralized entity in the middle, then who provides the liquidity for your transactions? So if I want to buy, let's say, trade Ethereum for USDT, where does that USDT come from? And in order to achieve this, you need to provide an incentive for people to give up their tokens in order to allow it to be traded. And that's where there's several different features that come into play. One of them is decentralized lending. Decentralized lending, like decentralized exchanges, is built with smart contracts. It allows like another way for you to leverage your finances in a way that without a third party intermediary. So if I have $2,000 worth of Ethereum that don't want to sell right away, but I still need the money to say pay a bill, I can lock it in a smart contract and take out a percentage of that in order to pay that bill without having to completely sell my Ethereum. And later on, I can repay that decentralized loan with funds in order to get my Ethereum back out. A lot of services provide this as a way to get access to tokens and cryptocurrencies for liquidity purposes. So sometimes decentralized exchanges will also offer decentralized loans in order to provide that liquidity. In this example, the exchange is in essence engaging in yield farming. They're giving up, they're lending me crypto and giving up the opportunity to profit off that crypto in order to receive tokens. And they're using those tokens to provide liquidity in their exchange. So whenever someone trades within that decentralized exchange, they're paying whoever provided that liquidity a percentage of that transaction um, in order to complete the transaction. The exchange, they have a great deal. Like they're getting paid by me a certain percentage for the loan, and also using that to make more profit with liquidity. But on my end, as a participant and not an owner of an exchange, I can also benefit from this transactions. Um, Decentralized exchanges work mostly with uh, tokens provided by their users. A lot of them call them pools. You provide cryptocurrency to these pools, which is essentially a smart contract, and those will be traded with many users in order for them to complete, atomic swaps, basically. So if I have a highly, a cryptocurrency that is very popular and people are trading a lot, I'm more likely to profit off of those because of I receive fees from several transactions. Yield farming is basically using different mechanisms in decentralized finance to gain a yield percentage on the money you lock up in smart contracts. There's many ways of doing it that offer different rates of return. Some people will actively seek out higher yields. They will figure out which cryptocurrencies are more popular in trading at the moment. Um, they might, in the example I used earlier, if I borrow, say, like $1,000 of a stable coin, I might be paying um, 10% on that loan, but I can also lend it out for possibly more. Other, might pay me 12%, or I can send it to a pool, which will pay me if I have a popular trading pair, let's say like WBTC and USDT, it might pay me up to 20%. So my profit off that might, if I'm gaining 20% and I'm paying 10% on that loan, then I profit 10% off of it. There's many ways you can structure these deals, and that's essentially what yield farming is. There's different ways people use decentralized finance in order to profit. In future videos, I'd like to go over kind of specifics on trading strategies when it comes to yield farming. There's a lot to go over and kind of give you the pros and cons of different decentralized exchanges and maybe what wallets you need and kind of pros and cons of that as well. It's a very, technical, process, and there's a lot of things to learn. But until then, the best way to kind of benefit from yield farming and the experience that I've gained and also my sponsors have experience with is to go and check out what Order Mind Fund has to offer. I'm happy that they sponsor this video and me, and I'm happy to be working with them to improve upon the products they already offer. And it's worth to check out Order Mind Fund, Project Orange. With a combined experience, I know that we can all profit together. Thank you for watching this video, and that's all I have for today. Thank you.